that James, the writer of the book of James, is the half-brother of Jesus. We also know that he was the leader of the church at Jerusalem. And we also know that he was a great leader who writes a book that is down to earth, sensible, practical Christianity, this book of James. I'll be looking in James chapter 4 in just a few moments. Joe is his name, and it is an incredible story. You may have seen it on the news within the last 2 weeks. Joe is a resident of Austin, Texas. He cares about needy children, and so he and his wife, Amy, entered into the Boston Marathon race to raise funds for needy children. He ran that race, as did his wife. She finished before him. And she stood at the finish line as Joe Bertie came across the line, and 2 seconds later, boom, bang, bomb. His wife was totally uninjured. A lady next to her had her leg blown off. Joe was uninjured, though he was knocked down. But in the chaos that ensued, for hours he couldn't find her and she couldn't find him. Screaming, chaos, running about, smoke, panic. The battery in his cell phone had died. He didn't know what became of her. She did not know what became of him. However, some hours later, they met in the hotel that they were staying in. They drive back to Austin, Texas, and he goes back to work, Joe Bertie. But he had business in Dallas, and so he goes to Dallas for an all-day meeting, and then is returning back to his home in Austin when he goes through a little town near Waco called West Texas. Boom, bang, explosion. Debris falls on his automobile as he's driving by on Highway 35 outside of West. Twice, by seconds, he escapes death. His response to the ABC reporter that interviewed him is, "I'm not lucky, I'm blessed." I don't know Joe's religious affiliation background or what his involvement or where he is in that realm, but he said, "I'm not lucky, I'm blessed." My wife was uninjured, though she stood next to one whose leg was blown off. And debris from the fertilizer plant explosion fell upon my car as I'm driving by. Twice. James is saying these things to us in verse 13 and following of the 4th chapter. "Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow, we will go into such and such a town and spend a year there and trade and make profit. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist, a vapor, a puff of steam. For you are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your ignorance, and all boasting is evil. So, whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin. Life is uncertain. No guarantees. And no such thing as luck. All within the will of God and the plan of God. You do not know what tomorrow will bring. We all know the story, and it's the farmer story in Luke chapter 12. Jesus is telling a parable. The land of a rich man produced plentifully, and he thought to himself, what shall I do? For I have nowhere to store my crops. And he said, I'll do this. I'll tear down my barns and build larger ones. And there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax. Eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, fool! This night, your soul is required of you. And the things that you have prepared, whose will they be? What is this farmer's sin? You tell me. What is his sin? In this story that Jesus is telling about how life is gone just like that. What is he? Anyone? What is his sin?
His own plans.
Beg your pardon?
His own plans.
His own plan. What is his sin?
Not giving God credit.
Always with the right answer. Let me read it again. And I'll read it with slightly difference. And he told them a parable, saying, the land of a rich man produced plentifully. And he thought to himself, what shall I do? For I have nowhere to store my crops. And he said, I will do this. I will tear down my barns and will build larger ones. And there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul.
It's not his.
That's right. He left God out of the equation. Every day you live, God is in your life, whether you acknowledge him or not. God is sovereign. He's in control. We have no certainty of life. We don't know what tomorrow will bring. The sin is making our plans, living our life. Nothing wrong with relaxing, eating, drinking. Yeah, you said that in a Baptist church. Nothing wrong with eating and drinking and making merry. Oh, good. Have a great life. Nothing wrong with that. The sin is leaving God out, omitting God, thinking that it is my goods, my barns, my grain, my soul, my. When it in truth is God's crops, God's barns, God's grain, God's good, and your soul belongs to God. Your patient that is lying in the hospital. He's in dire straits. He's really in bad condition. And the doctor comes around with a chart in his hand, and he comes into the room. And he says, I have good news and I have bad news. Which do you want? Well, I don't know. You might ought to give me the bad news first. You, son, have only 24 hours to live. About one more day. That's it, one day. Oh, it's terrible. That's the good news. And that's the bad news. The doctor said, yes, but see, I was on vacation and I should have come yesterday to tell you this. You see? We never know about tomorrow, really. You might live a long life yet. And yet it could be the longest life is still short. It's the brevity of life. Job chapter 7 put it this way, and Job was suffering, and he says, my days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle and come to their end without hope. Just like that. Here's a picture of a loom, a great big loom, and the yarn or the threads are on that loom. They're stretched up and down, but they're separated, and he has a shuttle. Looks like a little boat, a little tiny wooden shuttle with yarn on it. And he throws that shuttle in between, back and forth. That's fast. That's how quick life is. You know, my problem is, and I say it to you all the time, do you know how many times Sunday comes for me? Sunday. I think it's about every 2 days. I mean, I get done with Sunday, and I can promise you it seems like day after tomorrow, it's time again for a sermon. It's time again for a bulletin. It's time again to get ready. It seems like, is this true, folks? The older we get, you don't even know what I'm talking about yet. But the older you get, does it go faster? I'm telling you, it is fast. It is swift. Life is short. Someone has said it this way. The tragedy of life is not that it ends so soon. The tragedy is we wait so long to start living it. Think about it. You should have started living life yesterday. I mean, life to the fullest. Really doing something with your life. Really making your life count. You've only got one life. You've only got a short while. Can you make the most of every single day, or is it just another wasted day? The uncertainty of life, it's there. The brevity of life, but you know really what life is the opportunity to really be able to do something. I suppose Nancy Reagan started it, I don't know, but remember, just say no. If you're hooked on something or you're being tempted to do something, and the answer was just say no. And for a lot of people, that's what life is, just say no. The first word that a baby learns, we like to think it's mommy or daddy. Usually the first word that they learn to really utter is what? No. I remember, well, I don't remember. Mother told me, so I can't remember, but she told me my first word. She said, drink that luncheon, David. And I looked up at Mother and I said my first word, no! And boy, did I get it from there on. So instead of just saying no, maybe what we as Christians need to learn to do is say yes. We need to have some positives in our life. Don't go through life negative all the time. Don't go through life saying no, 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 no to life. Say yes, this is what counts. This day is important. This is all I have. And I want this day to really mean something. I close with John chapter 10. One sentence that Jesus said, I came, John 10:10. That's easy to remember. John 10:10. Jesus said, I came that they may have life and have it what? More abundantly. Do any of you know what the Amplified New Testament is? The Amplified New Testament is a Bible version in which words in the Bible are expanded out. And I really like the way John 10:10b says in the Amplified New Testament. Jesus said, I came that they may enjoy life and have it in abundance to the full till it overflows. Does your life overflow? Is it just bubbling and exuberant? Do you have that kind of effervescent life? Or are you just going through the motions? Another day, another day. We only have one life. Only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. And when I'm dying, how happy I'll be if my life lamp has burned out for thee. One life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Does he have your life? Does he have your feet? Does he have your silver and gold? Does he have your will? Does he have your hands? Your voice? Does he have your moments? This moment? And most of all, does he have your heart? May we stand. 541